I'm like jotting down in my journal the way that I'm feeling to see, okay, he said, see how you feel. But also after 30 days, we create a habit, right? So now it might not be Kriya that I do every day, but it's Kundalini Yoga that I do every day. And very often it is Nabi Kriya, because when I'm feeling like I'm not so strong, I automatically go to that Nabi Kriya. Welcome to Whole-ly Chit. I am your host, Kristy Austin, here to remind you that you are whole. Chit is a Sanskrit word for pure consciousness. The whole reason I began this podcast, to raise the collective consciousness. And I have a super exciting guest on today. I'm excited because I haven't spoken to her in a long time. She's one of my dear friends who I absolutely adore and love. We went through Kundalini Yoga teacher training together. Now, if you don't know what Kundalini Yoga is, that's the weird yoga that they wear all white, wrap their heads in white, wear all their crystals. So they're the ones you look at and are like, who are they? That's us, Jenna and I. We have with us today, Jenna Hedstrom. Thank you so much for being here, Jenna. I adore you. You're a bright light in this world that is so much needed in this world right now. Everything that's going on, we need more people like you. Thank you so much for being here. Please share with us who you are, what you do, a little bit about who you are and what you do.
A little bit about who I am. I mean, we could talk about that forever. So my name's Jenna. Let's see, who am I and what I do? My biggest passion in life is really just being authentically me, and really following that thread of like, how can I be more of myself? How can I discover more of myself? How can I share more of myself with the world when it's, feels good and it feels exciting? I left corporate America. What year is it? I'm like, what is time? 2023. So it's been like 5 years, right? Since I actually left corporate America behind. I'm sure we're going to get a little more into the details of my story in a little bit, but I left that behind to start my healing business. And I started working with women to really discover more of themselves, to really express themselves authentically, through retreats and yoga classes and one-on-one healing sessions and breath work. Breath work is like my absolute favorite thing. Kundalini yoga, sound healing, like there's a lot of things, right? There's a lot of different modalities. So I became, super excited to just jump off the cliff and be like, all right, I know I'm here to do something more on this planet. So let's freaking do the thing.
Jump in head first.
No idea what I was doing.
Yes. So you and I met during our Kundalini Yoga teacher training. Yeah. And I had this instant connection with you because I think we were probably the only two people crying on our first day, like going around the circle saying, okay, share your story. I cried, you cried, I cried with you, you cried with me. Yeah. It was very powerful. It was very healing. So what got you on this healing, to want to start this healing journey? Oh, if you don't mind sharing that.
Yeah, totally. I think one of the first pieces that is really important for all of the people that are listening, watching, is that I was not a spiritual person, like in my previous life. Like I was very anti-organized religion. That really turned me off. I did not believe a lot of the things that were in there. I am innately a person that anything that has any element of trying to control me, it's like, my inner rebel comes out. So I wasn't spiritual. Like I didn't believe in any of the things that I now believe in today. So that whole journey started for me actually when my very best friend in the whole world was shot and killed at a party. And that was a completely unexpected event, right? And he was my BFF. Like if we weren't physically together, we were texting, right? So when this happened, it literally, it shattered my world, shattered it. And leading up to that point, I had lived a very traditional life of like, okay, I'm good in school. I'm active in school. I get good grades. I do everything perfect so that I can get some aspect of validation. And now I graduate school and I go to college and I get the degree and then, oh, get the job and blah, blah, blah. And like, it was all this life that it was the only thing that I knew because that was just what I was surrounded by. But there was always like deeper inside this feeling of like, this can't be it. Like this cannot be it for my life. Like I can't be spending so much of my time sitting in traffic, being so pissed that I was sitting in traffic, right? Like these types of things. So when that experience happened, when I lost my friend and I shattered, that was when I found yoga. And I started going to yoga and was like, things were changing. I didn't understand what was happening inside of me. Like I didn't understand what was going on, but I knew that I had to keep going. And every time that I would find myself, and I have goosebumps, it's like every time that I would find myself in Shavasana, I was sobbing and just tears upon tears upon tears as I moved through my grief. But also it was really this shedding of aspects of myself, right? Like really like the part of me that was insecure, the part of me that didn't trust myself, the part of me that was like reliant on family and society to do the things that I was supposed to do. And so that was where I fell in love with yoga. And a good girlfriend of mine who was also in our Kundalini Yoga teacher training, she was alongside me with this whole journey. And she was like, I'm doing a teacher training. I was like, what is that? Like, what do you mean there's a teacher training? And so she actually went through her YTT program.
Mhm.
And then when I started discovering, I'm like, wow, there's a program to learn about yoga. So I actually went into my first teacher training program with zero intention to teach. I just wanted to know what was happening. Like I was becoming happier. I was becoming more patient. I was becoming more loving. I was becoming more accepting. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, who is this person that's evolving here? Right. But I had my own experience with it. And I think that's one of the most important things for all people to remember is that your own experience is the most important thing. Like when I started having visitations from my friend who had passed, I never believed in that stuff before that happened, right? But it was happening to me. And it was like, there's no way to deny what's happening here for me. So anyway, with that happening, it was yoga. And then I discovered the Sedona Yoga Festival. And it was like this whole thing with all things yoga. I was like, what is sound healing? What is breath work? What are crystals? There's a whole festival of people that want to come together and be happy and work on themselves and discover more about themselves. Like my mind was literally
Oh,
blown.
the trauma. Like, oh,
No
trauma
trauma.
together.
Yeah, like together and like be in community in a way that was conscious. Like I had never been exposed to that in my life. So that was really powerful. And I had my first breathwork experience there at that yoga festival. And that session changed my life. Like I realized, I had a lot of questions about what happens when we die because of the nature of how my friend passed. Right. And it was when I went into that session, all of those questions were answered. Was he in pain when he died? Where did he go when he died? Like all of these really plaguing questions through my grief. Right. They were answered, and not from something external, but from my internal world and my connection to something bigger and wiser. I didn't know that my shoulders were tense and tight until they weren't. I didn't know a lot of these things were happening until it shifted. And I'm like, holy shit. Right. Like, whoa, what's happening?
Isn't that amazing when you actually realize that we all do have the answers within? We really do. If we can calm that mind down and truly listen to ourselves and get to that point where we can listen truly, we have the answers. And I love the fact that you touched base on, you started having visitations, because I've had those same experiences and we have not yet talked about these yet. So we
Yeah.
have to have you back on, because that's a whole nother topic that I can get deep about. So
Totally.
I really want to hear more about that. But sticking on the topic of Kundalini Yoga, now you go to, from the festivals, having these experiences,
Yep.
you're in Kundalini Yoga teacher training, not expecting
Yep.
to teach.
Well, this was
I,
actually first, it was not Kundalini Yoga. It was Hatha Yoga. It was Vinyasa Yoga
okay.
first.
Okay.
Yep. And then
Mhm.
after I started getting into all things yoga, then it was like I started going to Anahata, which is where we met, right? And
Mhm.
really discovering the power of Kundalini Yoga. And then it was at that point I'm like, give me all the trainings. I was also teaching. I was also, life transformed and happened. But Kundalini Yoga is a whole nother level.
Right, right. I'm right there with you, because I did my Hatha yoga teacher training first too.
Yeah.
That was life changing. And I was just like you, where I was like, more, 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 more. I want everything. I want the crystals. I want the energy. I want, like,
Yeah.
it's just like you can't get enough. Once you start healing and learning how you can let go of that trauma, it's just so uplifting.
Yeah.
You can't go back to who you were before.
Yeah.
You've changed, you've evolved so much to where there's just no going back, even if you wanted to, which I don't see how anyone would ever want to, but you can't. So tell us with the level of Kundalini, because I remember, Yogi Bhajan had said that we have tools and techniques for these times that we're going through right now. And going through our training, we didn't really know what that meant until now. They were meant for us right now. And it's so funny, because I always say all the traumas I've been through my life, I feel like set me up for exactly where we are right now.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I feel like I have the tools, the techniques, and I want to share it with everyone. I want to share it with the world, because we don't have to live in fear. And this we learn the tools and techniques that we need to utilize on a daily basis. Like my go-to yoga is Kundalini every day. Every day. If I only have 3 minutes, it's Kundalini yoga. Tell me about, and I notice we have similar way of thinking, because we're both wearing white right now. So obviously a little bit of our training has stuck to us.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah, Kundalini Yoga. So I love actually that how you described it earlier too about it's weird, because that's how when I teach it, and it's like people come in with this idea of like they're going to do down dogs and they're going to flow back and forth, they're going to do all these things, right? And it's like, no, we're going to get really freaking weird, right? We're going to chant, we're going to do weird awkward motions with our bodies, we are going to have all of these experiences, right? And I think that what one of our teachers always said was like, don't take my word for it, do the meditation. Don't take my word for it, do the kriya. Have your own experience, have your own engagement with the practice, right? So yes, as far as it being so important right now, I keep coming back to, and we talked about this a little bit the other day, but I keep coming back to the sutras, and there are 5 sutras of the Aquarian age. And the couple that really stick out to me: first, recognize that the other person is you.
Mm-hmm.
Super powerful phrase just in general, right?
So powerful.
But
Mm-hmm.
also right now, because there is such an incredible, from my perspective, shift in consciousness and evolution of human species. When we can really start to look at what's happening in the external world as an opportunity for us to take deeper responsibility for ourselves, that
Absolutely.
is where the magic happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that one I think is super important. The other one that I think is super important right now is vibrate the cosmos, and the cosmos shall clear the path.
Yes.
Vibrate the cosmos, and the cosmos shall clear the path. And it's
Yes.
like, what does that mean? It means that Kundalini Yoga is one aspect of God, universe, divine, source, whatever. It's one track for us to connect with something greater. It's in everything.
It is.
Nature, when we look outside our window and we see a tree or we see a plant, or the dog, my pup that just decided to walk by and say hello to everyone, right? Like all of that, when we can really start to recognize like, oh, we can vibrate this way, the way that life exists beyond the perception of our human mind and our projection of our belief systems, fears, thoughts, worries, concerns, yada, yada, right? That there is always going to be a way for us to live a life amidst chaos that is still peaceful, that is still getting better and better and better every single day. And that's why I encourage everyone to have some aspect of spiritual practice, whatever that looks like for you, right? Like you and I, we love to get in our white and chant and do the weird things and the pranayama and all the breath work techniques and all the things, right? Because it's powerful and it works for us. And sometimes that is like, for some people, it's like, just look at a flower outside and breathe and recognize how beautiful that flower is. Like there are so many entry points in, right? So, so Kundalini Yoga, I remember hearing this, and I don't know if you've heard this or if you'll remember this, but I would love to know. So I remember reading about the fact that if we had a traditional Hatha yoga practice daily, and I think that it was something like 23 years. If you had a traditional Hatha yoga practice every day for 23 years, you actually receive the same energetic benefits of a 23-year practice in one Kundalini yoga class.
Yes, I do remember that. I do.
Yeah. And it's so true, right?
It's so powerful, so powerful. And that's why we talked about how it's our go-to practice, because we both had such crazy experiences. I remember leaving class sometimes going, I don't know what just happened.
Yeah, every day.
But I don't even know what I'm feeling. I need to process what I'm feeling. It's because there's so many, the polarity of the feelings that were inside of me, I just could not comprehend at that time. And I remember what you said, Savick. It was Savick that used to say that, right? I'm not going to tell you, you do it and tell me how you feel. I'm not going to tell you what it's going to do. You do it. You practice this. And we had to remember, we had to practice Nabi Kriya every day for 40 days. Like that was something. Nabi Kriya is one of the Kriyas for strength. And I remember getting up in the morning and sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to do this Kriya. But let me tell you how it changed me. After those 40 days, I'm like jotting down in my journal the way that I'm feeling to see, okay, he said, see how you feel. Yeah. But also after 30 days, we create a habit, right? So now it might not be Nabi Kriya that I do every day, but it's Kundalini Yoga that I do every day. And very often it is Nabi Kriya, because when I'm feeling like I'm not so strong, I automatically go to that Nabi Kriya. Because we all have our moments in life where we're not feeling strong. And what's interesting is, so Nabi Kriya is one where it's all here in the core. You're focusing on your core because that's where our strength comes from. So you're lifting your legs up for a long time, different versions of lifting your legs up. And it's all like right here in the core. Now, I had twins. I had that recti something where basically the separation of the abdomen. And it took me a really long time to even get my stomach somewhat back to normal because I had that separate. I literally can fit like my whole fist in my abdomen. Not very cute. And I thought, I'm never going to be normal again. My stomach's never going to be normal again. After doing Nabi Kriya for 40 days, it completely fused back together. My abdomen fused back together and I felt strong. I felt this strength like within me, even if it wasn't my stomach, but I was feeling it. I'm like, wow, I'm strong. I might not have a six pack. I don't know if I ever will, just because of that separation that happened within my muscles, but I'm strong in my core, like from doing that every day, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally. I feel like I could conquer the world. Anything that comes at me, I feel like I could conquer. And I believe it has to do with doing Nabi Kriya every day for 40 days. Yeah. Is there a Kriya that you have that's like changed you, or that's your go-to?
Believing Before Seeing, a new book by Candace Barr. teaching you how to believe into existence. Available now for pre-order.
So for me, I am like the great taster of life. So at least having one specifically, like no, because there are literally thousands of meditations and kriyas to choose from. So for the people that are not familiar with Kundalini Yoga, right? Thousands of meditations and kriyas to choose from. And it's literally like you have lower back pain, there's a kriya for that. You want to create more prosperity in your life, there's a meditation for that. You want to open your heart, there's a meditation for that, right? So it's like for me,
You have a headache, there's a mudra for that.
yes, like it's all there, right? Whatever it is that we are desiring to experience in our life, there's meditation for that and there's a kriya for that.
Yeah.
And so for me, one of the ones that I was assigned was lion's paw breath with breath of fire. I forget the name of it, but I had to make lion's paws, and it's like this over my head, over and with breath of fire, and it's like 15 minutes, right? And
Oh,
I remember when I first started doing it, I was like, oh, this is the worst because it was so hard. Anything with your hands moving over your head like this is just like, um,
your arms are hurting. They feel like they're
arms are burning, things are happening. I'm crying. I don't know why I'm crying. It's just
and
like
laughing and happy at the same time.
all of it, all of it, all at the same time. I mean, it's just like, and that's where it's so funny because it's like, what just happened? Right. And I love like the students that leave my classes, they're often like that. They're like, what just happened? They don't know what just happened, but they had this experience of themselves that's really powerful. Right. So for me, when I did that meditation specifically for my 40 days, because we all had to do Navi Kriya for 40
Yeah.
days. But the meditation specifically for me was really pivotal in recognizing the perseverance that's required to stay committed and do something for 40 days. And if there was a day that I forgot or like I fell asleep and I didn't do it and then we had to start all over, it was like, oh, so so
Yeah.
there's that aspect. So I think that, being able to be committed to a meditation or a kriya for 40 days or longer is in and of itself really powerful.
Yes.
But also keeping a journal with it and noticing like what was happening and transforming. Like I have a women's group that I'm running right now, and I have actually assigned all of them different meditations for them to do for 40 days through our program together. And so she's doing one called the triple mantra. And the triple mantra is all about essentially clearing blocks and really shifting consciousness in terms of no longer looking at things as negative or wrong or like what's wrong with my life, but rather having the space to recognize that everything, all the possibilities are available there. And she has literally, Kristy, it's been so amazing to see. She's on day like 13 or something, but her life is completely changing as far as how she looks at life, what's happening, the miracles that are starting to come into her life. That morning, she was like praying about um, not wanting to do yard work at her house anymore, but she also didn't want to give it up to somebody else because they wouldn't do it the way that she wanted it or whatever. Right. So she did her meditation and she sat with it and she like really prayed. She's like, I would actually love to receive help for them to come and do this for me in a way that I really want it done. And literally 30 minutes later, her doorbell rings, which her doorbell never rings, right? Her doorbell rings and it's a landscaper that's like, do you need help with your yard? And so she's like, yeah, I love help with my yard. This is how I want it done. And she's like, Jenna, he did it exactly how I wanted it. And so this is the power, right? When we're committed to something, when we have a kriya or a meditation that we are committed to just exploring for 40 days, I mean, exploring what happens inside of you, right? Then all of a sudden, these miracles that start happening in our life,
Yes.
like this is not a joke. This is real, right?
And that's why we do what we do. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
We get to see people transform before our eyes. We've transformed ourselves and now we get to see others transform in front of our eyes. It's so beautiful. It's so powerful.
It's amazing.
So you also have gotten into a little animal therapy as well. Can we get into that a little bit? Because like I know so many people that like have animals, and like you think about it, they have animal dogs and cats that go to hospitals to help people through what they're going through. So animal therapy is like very powerful. And I just saw on your social media that you're working with animals now. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Yeah, it was a total curveball, as the universe often works. It was totally not expected at all. But I had two pit bulls. And one of them in particular was really not, she was dog reactive. She didn't super like a lot of people, so it was hard to do anything with the two of them. And so when she passed, I had my male and I was like, okay, it's time for us to do some training. Because he couldn't walk on a leash. I mean, he just wanted to run, and I can only run behind an 80-pound pit bull for so long, and that's just not fun for me. I like to actually walk with my dogs and enjoy my walk. But I discovered actually that he was somewhere along the lines had also developed he is very, very dog reactive. And I mean, like lunging, wanting to kill any creature that walked by with four legs, loves people. So I discovered a thing, right? I needed to, as a responsible dog owner, address this. And also because I didn't want to live my life like that. Like I needed help, right? So I found Balancing Paws, and started going there, and it came in just at the perfect time in my life. He mentioned he needed an assistant, and I was like, sure, I'll let you know if I think of anybody. But then I left there, and the universe was like, and I'm like, wait, am I supposed to do that? So without going into all the details about that, I decided to start working there. And so what I love about Balancing Paws is that it is training that is different from the typical training. It is all about developing healthy communication with our dogs. And like how we were talking about earlier, learning how to listen, like really, truly, genuinely learning how to listen to yourself, but listen to your dog. And most of us don't speak dog, right? Mm-hmm. And I hate to break it to the people, but most dogs don't speak human, right? They don't speak English as much as we want them to. And we can
Fortunately,
80 times that and like all the things, right? Like they just don't. So they adapt and they learn how to exist just by making sense of whatever they can with whatever we are putting out, right?
Love how your little guy just ran behind.
He just comes in, it's like, well, it's everything.
You're talking about me. I know you're talking about me.
He's like, I know. I was like the facilitator of this whole entire thing. So, but really, I mean, he changed my life, And so when I went into this training and I started doing this training with my dog, our slogan there is, it's not just dog training. And that, I love that because it's not just dog training. Whole-ly has taught me how to have healthy boundaries. He has taught me how to stand stronger in myself, how to claim my space, like actually take over my own space instead of people pleasing or, taking care of whatever else is out here. Like, let me make sure that other people are taken care of rather than what I need. Animals are going to show you that shit. Like, and they're going to show it. And especially since we're talking about dogs, right? Like dogs are showing us where we can be better humans. And so being around the dogs and, we do a lot of different things, whether it's one-on-one programs or board and train programs, but the dogs that come and stay with us. So now I'm around these animals all the time. Right. And it has become this really beautiful thing that I'm a part of and get to bring my creative magic and do all that fun stuff there as well. But when we can start to look at our dogs that might be misbehaving, and to be real, like might be really misbehaving, biting people, aggressive, reactive, resource guarding, like the things that are really challenging to live with, right? They are actually, I believe, they're giving us an opportunity to look at ourselves, right? To take responsibility for ourselves. Like, where can we be a better human? Where can we adjust the way that we look at love? I think that a lot of women and myself and just the clients that I see come in, but I notice about myself, I'm like, I had this belief that, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. And like, let me give you whatever you want. And I thought that was love. But really, love is healthy boundaries. really love is recognizing, okay, my dog speaks in energy. My dog speaks in body language. How can I learn those things better so that I can be a better owner to my dog? Right. So they're so powerful, these creatures that we have. There's
They
so much opportunity there with them.
And dogs, I love, I love how you say that you learn so much and all the things that your dog has taught you, because I believe that dog training isn't really dog training, it's human training.
It is.
Training the humans how they can be better humans for their dogs, so that their dogs know how to behave, because until we know how to be better humans, our dogs won't know. So I love that you guys, and I went on your Instagram page and was looking through some of your training videos, so I could see that it was a different type of training for sure. And I'm already, I'm going to be calling you when my sister's in town, because she's got dogs. My mom has a dog. They all went through training too, and we all talked about, and I would go to training with them, because like you said, it is human training. It's everyone who's around that animal should know how to interact, and how we all know better, do better, right? So
we can be better humans, right? We can be better. And like, I look at it like, okay, I have a dog that's reactive. It's been a year and a half. It has changed light years of difference, right? However, I am still concerned about going out on walks, not because of my ability to manage my dog's reactivity. I fully trust myself now and know exactly how to handle him. What I am concerned about is a dog just coming running out of a neighbor's house, right? Or a person that just decides that they want to let their dog walk off leash or whatever, right? And they come running up toward, oh, they're friendly. It's like, cool, my dog's not friendly. So I believe there is a way that as humans, we can be better in terms of better dog etiquette. Learn how to have, like, it's like Yoni, who owns the company, he always talks about, people are like, oh, dogs are like my babies, right? But would you ever let a stranger just come up and be like, oh, my baby, your baby's in a stroller, and like let a stranger just do whatever they want to your baby? No, you wouldn't. Right?
We need to have that same respect for our animals and for our own boundaries. We need to have those boundaries for ourselves and for others. And that's hard for a lot of us who grew up with no boundaries at all. So it's learning boundaries for ourselves, others, our animals, so that we all feel safe.
Right.
That's very, very true. So you have so much going on. Every time I look, you were like, oh, I've slowed down a little bit. I'm like, girl, you're teaching all the time. You're doing retreats, you're doing workshops, you're training dogs, and you're telling me you're slowed down. You slowed down. I don't know what you're talking about, but share a little bit of with us, because I think we're almost out of time. But I want to know, like, what you have going on right now. Let us know everything that you have going on, where people can find you, so we can plug in your social media accounts, any websites that you have for both you and the pause.
Balancing pause. Yeah.
Say that again.
Balancing pause.
Balancing pause. Yeah, I love that name, by the way. Balancing pause. That's so cute.
It's amazing. It's perfect. So starting with me, if you are local to Phoenix, if you live in Arizona, my home studio that I teach all different kinds of yoga classes, breathwork classes, sound healing classes, all that kind of stuff, and is the home base for a lot of my workshops, is Surya Yoga, and it's in North Phoenix. So that's a great place to find me if you're local here in Arizona. I do workshops around the valley. So if you are here, follow my social media. If you're not here, follow my social media. So Instagram is Jenna Paige Healing, and that's Paige. And then if you are on Facebook, it's just Jenna Hedstrom. You can find me that way. My website also is jennapaigehealing.com, where I try to keep different events and everything updated there. I have a lot of things in the works right now. So in terms of Kundalini Yoga, I'm putting together a series that is specifically around the sutras of the Aquarian age and how they are applicable to our life. They'll be about 2 hours. So it'll be about 30 minutes of discussion around the sutra. and then about 90 minutes of practice to help us connect into that sutra a little bit more. So I'm going to be doing that in person at Surya Yoga. We're finalizing the dates, but I'm also going to be doing one virtually. So keep an eye on my Instagram for those dates and how to register for that. That's coming within the next like couple of weeks. And then also my women's circles are really profound, deep inward work, transformational journeys where we go through, all the things. There's a lot that happens in there as far as healing our traumas and healing and becoming more of ourselves, more confident in ourselves, more empowered, how to live an empowered life, how to live a soul-led life, which is really how to live connected to our hearts, right? So I'll have another round of that launching just after the first of the year. So that is all the things healing and yoga and all that. And then for Balancing Pause, also it's a local thing, but we do have an online course. So, which takes you through the whole program that the owner of the company has developed over his, 12 years of being a dog behavioralist and all the things. So, Balancing Pause is on Instagram. We're really mostly only on Instagram. So follow us over there. We have lots of different, content things that we share and a lot of different things that happen there. And then if you're here local, book a lesson with us. And if you're not, check out our online course. You'll love it. It's really powerful if you're not here.
And for locals, you are in Chandler, correct? Balancing Pause is in Chandler?
Yeah, Balancing Pause is North Phoenix. So Balancing Pause is like, yeah, it's like the 51 in Greenway, essentially.
Okay. So anyone who's local in Phoenix, check you out. But that's awesome. I didn't know that you had an online course as well. So that's good information to have. Awesome. Yes. Well, Jenna, thank you so much for being here today. There's so much more I feel like we still need to talk about. So please come back. I love you. I adore you. I'm so grateful to have you in my life. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me, Jenna. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I love you too. Thank you so much for having me here. And yeah, I'm so glad that we're on this journey together.
Awesome. All right. Mwah. Stay tuned next week for another episode of Whole-ly Chit with Kristy Austin.